Hi everyone, good evening. It's Katia here, and I'm back with you for another series of Meet With. I have the lovely Dalilah that I'm going to bring over in any second now, but I want to let you know that this show, though it's Meet With, we are going to address not just the issues within the interview side of things, but we need to speak about the current affairs and what's been happening, our stance on the matter going forward, how we're going to, from my perspective and from Dalilah's perspective, how we're going to move forward. Now, I'm really happy to have you here. First thing that I want to remind you, if you haven't given access to StreamYard as an app through Facebook, do so, because otherwise we can't see your comments on the show. It will just say Facebook user, so just click on the link that comes above it and give it permission. We'll then be able to see who is saying what. So I'm not going to leave Dalilah to wait much longer, and I'm going to bring her in. You also see that sometimes I'll go in between screens because I have another one here, and that's where I'm setting up everything. So please bear with me, and I'm really happy to have you. And I will warn you that the part of the conversation that is going to be about what's happening now may be a bit more on the emotional side and a bit heavier for some. So I'm giving you the heads up now. All right. Hey. So we have the amazing Dalilah. And Dalilah, the first thing I would love for you to do is to introduce yourself to the group. And meanwhile,
Hi.
I'm operating.
Okay. Hi. Thank you for having me. My name is Dalilah Khodadin, and I'm here to talk to you today about MLM and the positive side of MLM.
And Dalilah, tell us about you as a person. Tell me about what your backstory is, and what brought you to the entrepreneurial side of things. First off.
Okay, so my parents are from Mauritius, and my dad has always had his own business. So I've always grown up in that kind of atmosphere environment. My mum, she used to do Avon. I think she did Oriflame and Tupperware as well. So I got a bit of a feel for it when I was really young. I never thought I would get into it. I'm going to be completely honest. I worked in a school for 20 years. Recently, for the last 5-6 years, I worked in child protection. And that was quite hard going. And actually took a lot out of me, if I'm honest. And towards the end of the school career, I was feeling quite low. I had no energy, and I just needed something. And so my friend offered me some supplements and aloe vera gel, which I took and absolutely fell in love with the products. And initially joined on the basis of I knew these are the products I was going to use for a very long time. So it started like that, really. It was a bit of it was just for me and my family to get the discount on products. But then soon people were just asking me how, what are you doing? You look different. You just seem so different. So part of me thought, God, I must have looked quite bad or quite, for it to be so noticeable. So then I started talking about it, and it's the passion that showed, the passion for the products. And then before I knew it, people wanted to buy the products. Work was getting quite heavy. Cases were getting more and more. And in the end, I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to take the leap and go for it. I know I'm passionate about the products. I love talking about the products, much to my family's constantly rolling their eyes at me, Vera. But I love it, and I've been in the company for a year and a half now, and I absolutely love it. And I'm progressing, I'm talking, and I came across quite a lot of negativity about MLM. So that's what I'm here to talk about. But I fell in love with the products, and for me, I think it is the passion that you have for what you're. So for me, it's not like selling. I'm just sharing the love, really, sharing the products, sharing the benefits about the products. So that's how I got into it, really. And in December 2019, I made the decision after 20 years to leave my career in school, which was really tough because I absolutely loved my job at the school. Really passionate about that as well. And part of me still is. I miss the children, but this is where I want to be now. This is my new career.
That is incredible. And yes, it's interesting that you mentioned about the bad press that the MLM has been having. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the background, just to remind us, because most of us will remember something, but I think a lot of people don't associate the history of it with what it is.
Yeah, I think what it is, the question I get asked a lot, is it pyramid? And it's not a pyramid scheme. Multi-level marketing is different. It's got the same concepts. You do work your way up, but you have to work your way up in jobs that you do. If you want to progress and you want to get further, you've got to work your way up. And they said, you know, some people have said, oh, it's a scam. It's, you know, it just doesn't work. What I found, I've been with other companies before. I've done Avon, and I was with another company prior to that. But I think for me, it just wasn't the right time. So now I felt it was the right time for me. So I really looked into the business side of things, listened to what my mentor and people around me had to say, watching other people, you know, the way they were building their business and how successful they have been. And these are people that I know and I see. So just like everyday people with their families, just trying to make a living. Now, it has had, I've read quite a few things about how people think that when you reach a level, or if you start recruiting people, oh, that's it, we just sit back and just let everyone else do the work. That could be true for other companies, but for the one that I'm in particularly, that is not true. I have got a team of people that I work with, and I have got a team under me as well. But I still have to do my bit in the company. So I still have to work and sell my products. So it's not my team that are working for me. They work for themselves. So eventually I do get paid from the company. I can't really see the scam that other people might see. And I know there are lots of people that say, oh, it doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me, which is fine. It is hard work. It's not something that's just going to happen. It's something that you do have to work for. And I think the secret is you have to be passionate about what you are selling. Now, a pyramid scheme then normally is not a product at the end of it. It is just money. I've many years ago, someone asked me about investing money into a pyramid, and you know, and I can see how it works. But with a lot of the companies, there is a product involved and there is a sale, and the product involved is a very good product. And I just cannot see the scam, because we still have to work. So even though I have a team, I've got 5 people in my team, but I still have to do my bit. If I don't do my bit, I won't get anything. So it makes me work harder to get where I need to be. And yes, I do want to work my way up the ladder. Lots of people do, but then lots of people just want to stick to just retailing the products, which is fine as well. So there's no pressure there. But I want to go further. That's just how I am. So to reading the negative press, what I would say to people is just listen to what the person has got to say. So give them that chance. Look at the business plan. Some, I will say, are probably not as good, but have a look. Don't just dismiss it, because it is a little, I feel like I am sitting on a gold mine.
And like you said, it's so important to believe in the product, and that's the main thing, isn't it?
Yes.
I think people forget that though it's multi-level marketing, it is marketing, and it's about the product. I think, I don't know if people remember, many years back, multi-level marketing started with the Tupperware ladies. Ladies that were housewives, and some of them were not allowed to go to work, and they didn't have that extra income. They were dependent on their husbands. So by going on to the Tupperware system, then they were able to sell the Tupperware to their closest family, neighbors, and friends, and create a little bit of a revenue that would help them. Avon went down the same route, and it developed as well. I think Avon was probably the first one relating to cosmetics that became international. But yes, Dalilah is so right. With anything that you choose, in with this, we are talking to those who have not decided what they want to do business wise, and they're still thinking. Don't just believe the bad press. Go and do your research about it. But the main thing is you have to be passionate about the product. Now, Dalilah, when you started on your journey, what sort of barriers did you encounter initially as, a businesswoman? What would you say to those who are starting?
Okay, so because I worked in a school for so long, so I was, I knew I was going in, I knew what I had to do, and just sort of got on with it. So getting into this was very different, because I had to, it wasn't there for me. I had to go and find the customers. I had to talk about the products. I had to think about how I was going to retail products, even though it comes out when I talk about them, the passion I have for them, but it was convincing other people, that this is a good product. So I found that my confidence, I had to really build up my confidence, because I would have to talk to people. This is the first live that I have done, and I've been in the business over a year now. And one of my biggest fears or barriers was to do a live. And so so now there'll be no stopping me. I'll be doing lives on my page all the time after this. But it's just, if you believe in the product and you can see that potential, face your fears, just do it. Just face your fears and do it. Talk to your mentor, talk to people, that they will give you that confidence, because we've got a really good team of people that are very supportive. And I know my mentor would have done a live with me, but I just didn't feel ready. Things take time, and I think if you feel that you want to overcome something, just do it. Just do it, because the more you think about it, the more you're going to put yourself off doing it. Just like me today, I didn't even think about this. It was only today I thought, right, okay, we're going to do this today. But I'm doing it. Here I am.
You're doing brilliantly, absolutely brilliantly. And in terms of people who are also starting, they will probably think, there's different sort of arenas, different sort of businesses. Um, in the MLM, I'm assuming that your mentors come with the company. Um, so did you have to find your mentor, or did they find you? How
They
did that
found
work?
me. So they found me. So I was found by my friend introducing me to the products. She told me all about the products, and I joined on that basis because I loved them. And when I started to see the potential in the business myself, I sort of stood back and watched, and watched what other people were doing. And then I started to ask questions, have meetings. My mentor was there all the time. And I just started to ask questions and started getting more involved with the trainings, just started getting more involved with the business and just embracing it more, really, rather than fearing it. And talking to people. If I had a problem, I'd go to my mentor and just explain, and there'd always be someone there to help. So I got into it because I love the product. That's how I got into it. So I would definitely say, if there is something that people want to do, if you're doing something, you're taking a product and you think, I could do this, go for it. Definitely go for it, because I think it's a new way of working. I think this is going to be the new way of working for a lot of people, especially at this time. We've helped so many people who are furloughed, and actually there was, I think it was the Evening Standard, done an interview with my mentor and another person from Forever Living. And it was amazing. It was just so lovely to read how many people that we are helping through this time, and how many people are just being so successful through this time. This has been my most busiest time, I have to say, through the pandemic. So something good did come out of this pandemic for me. So yeah, I would go for it.
And I think there's going to be a trend, isn't it? Because
Mm,
even, there's a lot of people that have lost their jobs, sadly,
yeah.
and are unable to provide. Others, even though they may still be in work, they may or may not be happy with what they're doing, because the COVID has been for many a wake-up call. Like for me, my health situation was my wake-up call. For many, it's been the COVID, and people are rethinking, reevaluating,
Mm,
what they want to be doing. So
yeah.
it's nice to see that there's so many different opportunities out there. And it's also something that, do you work from home? Do you have to be at an office a lot? How does it work for you?
So for me, I work mainly from home. And through this pandemic, it has proved that we can do the whole thing online. Um, we've done lots and lots online. A lot of the team have just smashed their records. It has been absolutely amazing what the team have achieved through this pandemic, just helping people either financially or with health and wellness products. I've been doing a lot from home, but I also I have a market stall that I do every week. So I do that, but that's not something you have to do. You do it. You find what's comfortable for you. So we do lots of pamper parties.
Mhm.
That's another really good one, because you can just go in, do a party. It's you can have a laugh. You can get friends involved, and then that opens up another network of people. So you tap into that network, and then it opens another network. So it's just constantly going. People think, oh, if I just sell to my friends, that's it. but no, there's more, because they've got friends and their friends have got friends, and it just goes on like that. So there's always somebody there that is going to tap into your products and your business.
And also these days there's a new method of doing as well, by creating like landing pages, having a funnel, and channeling traffic, online traffic into it, so that you can start selling products that way as well.
Yeah.
So the, you know, like any other marketing scenario, there's so many avenues to explore. And what I wanted to ask you as well is, how did you find through this period? I understand that, you know, you've been very busy and everything, but on a personal note, how did you find the COVID times? How was that for you?
Yeah, it has been tough. It has, you know, just jumping in the car and doing something simple like shopping is a big
Mhm.
task now. You know, it's very organized now, you know, when I go shopping and things like that. And my little girl's got epilepsy as well. So for me,
Mhm.
even though she's not in that vulnerable category, but a lot of her seizures have been off the back end of viruses. So for me,
Mm.
why keeping her safe has been my, you know, that's been all that I needed to do, was to keep her safe and away from. So sending her back to school next week is I'm a bit anxious about that.
Yeah.
Although her school I used to work in, so I know exactly how they are. They're amazing, and I know they will do what they need to do. But for me as a parent, I am very anxious about it,
Yeah.
about sending her back. And
Totally understand.
thing, you know, how are things? I mean, I will be going back on the market next week, you know, lovely. I'm looking forward to it. But, you know, there's so much around it, and there's, you know, risk assessments, there's just remembering that safety, and, you know, so it does make you think. And I've had to reevaluate my life, and
Mm.
just think about things that I've changed, and I have changed in these few months that we've been on lockdown. You know, me and exercising are just not best friends at all. You know, I don't do exercising or anything like that, but that's something that I've started doing now, and it's because of the lockdown that I've done it. I wouldn't have done
I've
it.
seen your stories on
Yeah,
every day, like,
yeah, here we
yeah.
go again.
I'm thinking, I'm almost there. I'm almost there with you. I'm almost
Yeah,
starting.
yeah,
But I
that's
definitely
it.
need
It
to
would just
start.
take that little thing that will click.
Mhm.
It will just be there.
And the other thing I wanted to say is, you know, obviously, as we started talking about the mum side of things, um, how have you found juggling family life with having a new business?
Um, it At first it was a bit, because everything you have to do, you know, there's no one doing it for you. Like, you go into work, a lot of the stuff's there. You just go in and do your job and come home. This is different. You've got your taxes. You've got you know, you've got, like, I pay for my market stall, so there's all that to consider, getting stock. So there was a lot to think about. But I think I think I've done it okay. I think there's still tweaks to be made. My organisation isn't amazing, but I think it's been really good. I've really enjoyed it, and I like that I can do it at any time. I tend to sit and pick up my business sort of in the evening. I do bits in the day, put stuff on Facebook, connect with people, but I like to sit in the evening when it's quiet, little one's in bed, and I just get on with it then. And it's really nice, and it doesn't feel like work, but it is, because it is bringing in money.
And we have Aqua watching us. We have Dawn watching us as well, and I'm having a call in the middle of a live. This is the kind of thing that happens on a live, so please do not decline. Um, but yes, so um, they're saying hello to us, and I'm really happy that they're with us. Um, in terms
Yeah.
of, you know, uh, how you managing your time, what would you say is your biggest difficulty with juggling everything?
So obviously, as my team grows, I get busier because they need support. So I support them as and when they need it as much as I can. So I have become busier. Um, it's fine because, like I said, you can just do it in pockets of time that you have. So I will, if I'm cooking, you can still answer a message, or you can connect with somebody. A lot of the time I
Mhm.
put food on Facebook as well. So, I do mix the two. But you can do it around everything, which is what I love. There's no set 9 to 5. I can do it a little bit in the morning when I wake up, which is what I do, sit and having my coffee, and I'll sit and go through messages that have come through in the night. Um, and then I'll stop, get on with the day, take the dog out, go out with the family, do what I need to do, and then I'll come back and pick it up for a little bit before I need to go off and do something else. So this is what is brilliant about it. You can just do it in little bits of time, even if you're out. If you
Mhm.
go out, I don't know, to the park with your kids and what have you, you can still sit there. You're still there with your family, but you're still connecting with your business as well. So you can do it however it suits your lifestyle.
In that, you answered my next question brilliantly, which was how is a day in the life of Dalilah? But you have been absolutely brilliant, and I'm now gonna ask for us to go on to a different topic altogether.
Yeah,
Normally, I would have spoken more to you about, what books you're reading and, things like that. But there is a serious matter that we have to talk about.
yeah,
This would have been a traditional interview, but we can't shy away from talking about what we have to talk about racism, about what's been happening in the riots. It's for me as a black person, it's been really tough, and I
100%.
guess you can empathize with that, and you probably have similar experiences as well.
Yeah,
um, it's been emotional because it's brought forth quite a lot of experiences that I've had in the past that I thought, oh, they were tucked in. Um, and the question is, what next? Before, it was okay for many people to just say, oh, I'm not racist. I have a friend that is black, or I have a neighbor that is black, and we get on really well. But today, that's not enough, because if it was enough, then things wouldn't come to the point that they are.
100.
um I will ask you, Dalila, is there like an instance of racism that you want to share, or something that you want to talk about on the matter?
Well, you get the growing up, you come across it, whether it's low level, whether I do remember a particular time actually. I was really young, and I think we'd just come to England, my parents, and I remember because my dad didn't have a car then, so we used to get the bus. So we used to go shopping. It was in Stratford in London. I remember it. And we got on the bus, and I just remember this lady came up to me and took me and my older brother and just sort of made us go on the bus really quickly. And I didn't know what was going on, but this they were skinheads at the time. I was having a go
Mm.
at my dad, and he dropped that, all his shopping everywhere. Um, and I still remember that. And I would have been
Wow.
5, 6 years old, and I can see it vividly. I remember sitting on this lady's lap crying because I didn't know what was going on, what they were doing to my dad. All I remember was like my mum came on, and they were just trying to gather all the shopping together and stuff. But, you know, nothing more was said about it. You know, my parents, they would have had their conversation, but they didn't ever say it in front of us. But I just remember how I felt at that time. And I could still feel it now.
Wow. No,
So
that is
that is
hard.
something I vividly remember about, you know, a racist against us.
Mm-hmm.
There's been lots, you know, I've got 2 brothers, with them as well, you know, getting picked on because of the colour of their skin. And, you know, there's the storyline in EastEnders. It's very much about racism. It's very much about, before this thing happened on last week, I struggled to actually watch it because I felt so awful for him. I know it's a program, but it's the reality of it. You know, these things do happen, and I did really struggle with that. And then obviously this thing with Floyd happened, and that was just, yeah, it was shocking, absolutely shocking. And I really, really hope that things do change. You know, people do see, and it isn't everybody. It isn't. You know, I've got friends from lots of different cultures and backgrounds. It isn't, and I know that. But it's not right. It's just not right.
Mm-hmm. And I think the difficulty is, you know, we've been down the road before. We've had so many different incidents in the UK, in the US as well, and still things are allowed to keep on happening. There's not been enough change. This is why I say before it was easy. People would just say, "Oh, you know, I'm not racist. You know, I couldn't possibly be a racist," and but we were passive. Someone would say a racist joke, and they would say, "Oh, you know, I'm not a racist, but this is the joke." And the moment that you have to state that you're not something just before you're about to deliver the joke, it's an alarm bell.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times everyone is laughing, and you know, I've been guilty of this. I've been guilty of not standing up for myself and saying, actually, I'm not comfortable with what you just said, you know.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
but it comes a time, and I think for me it's now, and I think this is why there's been so many different emotions. I've felt sadness for Lloyd and for, you know, many other people, but I've felt anger as well, not just at the system that has allowed things to perpetuate, but also at myself, because I feel like I have not done enough, you know. So one of the things that I want to explain is the whole, you know, all lives matter versus Black Lives Matter, and I'm very passionate about it. And the reason being is, if all lives mattered, you know, when there were the civil rights movement in the US that then came onto the UK, we wouldn't be going through this.
No.
So the point is, not all lives matter. And we came to a point of crisis where Black people, you know, are afraid for their lives. You know, if a Black person comes on a bus or something, everyone is like holding their purses close. There's this perception that Black people are lazy. So in workplaces, they don't get promotions as often. They have to work I say they, we have to work twice as hard or sometimes thrice as hard in order to accomplish something that another counterpart of ours would just, you know,
Just get.
easily get. The other thing people don't understand, I think, is about when they say, "Oh, but racism happened." Slavery happened many years back, and you know, you shouldn't be talking about this. But they do not understand the impact that still has on people's lives even today. it's good to have you here when we're talking about this, because like myself, you're also in an interracial marriage,
I
so
am. Yep.
you have had to have a difficult talk like I have with my little one. Do you want to
Yeah.
talk a little bit about it?
Yep. So she's at that age now where she's got her own phone, and she's on a couple of the social media apps, and obviously people put videos up. So the video of Floyd came up, and it really upset her. Really upset her. So I had to have that conversation with her, and she said to me, "Oh, it's not in England though," and I had to tell her it does happen in England. It happens everywhere. And it was horrible having to burst that bubble, her outlook on the world, and having to tell her that actually, no, this is what it's about. So that was hard. That was really difficult to do as well.
How old is your little one?
She's 11.
Mhm.
11.
And you were a lot more gutsy than I was, because when I had to speak to my 8-year-old, and I wasn't expecting that to happen. We have age appropriate programs, and we had CBBC, which you think is safe, and the news round came, and he was talking
Ah,
and describing what had happened to George Floyd, and how he was killed by policemen, because of the
mm,
color of his skin. And when she asked, "Mum, I don't want to die. I don't want to die," I saw the color drain from her face, and then I had to kind of make sense of it for her. She said, "Does it happen here?" Because I said, "This happened in the US. Does it happen here?" And I couldn't have the heart to say yes. I couldn't. I should have, because my fear is it's affecting her sense of security and her sense of safety.
mhm,
Um, and I can't yet just remove all that. And I said, no, it tends to happen more in the US. And in the UK, things are not as bad. And
mm,
slavery finished in the UK way before it finished in the US. And there's still a lot of social problems. But, obviously at some point, I need to start introducing that to her a bit more.
yeah,
I'm trying to teach her identity, to stand strong in who she is,
yeah,
and to be proud of who she is, and embrace her, generational history.
yeah,
But it was heartbreaking, as you know, to have to see them going through that, and to have that talk.
mm,
Um, and I put a video on my Facebook profile not long ago about Grey's Anatomy, and a conversation that the characters were having with their 13-year-old boy in the US about, you keep your hands where they can see it at all times. You're not allowed to do certain things that your white friends would have done. And I think people don't realize that it's happening a lot more
mm,
than than they think. People think, oh, it's just happening in the US. No one
yeah.
would have thought that that would have had an impact on our children the way it did. You know,
It
people
has had
don't realize.
it has had a massive impact. I mean, we're right in the middle of a pandemic. It's happened in the pandemic. I agree with their protesting. I really do. I think what I don't agree with is the violence and the looting and all that. I really disagree with that. But them getting together and having their say, I 100% agree and support it. It's just a shame, and I say that with the head on that we are in a pandemic as well, and we do need to be careful. But it needs to stop. It needs to stop. It's not fair that we have to have these kind of conversations with our children, just because of the color of our skin. It's not right. It's just not right.
And there was I think a comedian, I think it was, I didn't see the post itself, but they were hinting at the rioting as something that resembled what happened in South Africa at the height of things, when actually groups of people were paying for the riots to happen, so that that particular group of people that were in those manifestations and things could be blamed for, it's so easy, we see it all the time. It's like, now because there's rioting and looting, which we do not agree with, and it's a small percentage of people, there's always going to be the person who's going to say, oh well, you see, they don't have the right to be doing that, and how dare they disrespect private property, and the point of the matter is, I think as a culture, Black people in general have been so respectful towards authority, and so respectful towards the system, and so hopeful in the system, that things like what is happening now should have burst open a long time ago, if that makes sense, isn't it?
Yeah.
But because of that respect and because of that hope, it hasn't. So it's disheartening to have a small group of people create a perception, and then again it goes back to the whole, because we are not white, we are holding a beacon for the whole race, which means if someone white does something wrong, oh, it's that person that did something wrong. If someone non-white does something wrong, oh, it's the whole off. We've seen it with the Muslim extremists. Suddenly, all Muslims were bad. We see it in the news a lot of the times. If something happens, they used to categorize people by their race straight away, as if to say, oh, that's because, and though that's the visible one, the institutionalized, what we can't see, is the worst one. Is the difference in pay, is the difficulties in progressing in institutions, is the whole, you go to the bank, are you able to get a loan the same as the next person? Is the whole, having watched a social experiment on YouTube where they had a gun, like a rifle, on the back of a white person walking down the street. He was stopped by police and saying, where are you going, what are you doing? And they were like, oh, I'm exercising my right to wear a gun, and I'm gonna go hunting or something. Okay, off you go. And when the same scenario happened with a Black person, they had that police holding the gun, a policeman, not that particular one, but holding the gun at a Black person, getting them to lie on the floor under gunpoint, calling a squad of other police cars, and so on and so forth. So it was so disproportionate, and it was so different. And this is why I think what a lot of people don't realize. Now, we can talk about the wrongs of the world for a long time, but I think what I want us to end on is what else can be done today for things to change and for things to get better. So from your perspective, Dalilah, what would you say?
I think that what happened has exposed all of what we've just talked about. So it has shown that it hasn't moved on as much because it's been covered up, like you say. And I think we need to teach people. Everyone is the same. I mean, when I was working at the school, you've got so many, especially living where I do, it's a very multicultural here. And there is still a lot of racism here, even though it is multicultural. And like you mentioned with the extremists and things like that, that hasn't helped either. So that just ignites it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, we've always been teaching children, everyone's the same. It doesn't matter what colour you are, what disability you have. We're all the same. We all have the same inside. We've all got a heart. We've all got, you know, we're just a different colour because we're from a different part of the world. I was born in England. You know, my parents are from Mauritius, but I was born in England. So I'm British. So for me, you know, this is my country. But there's so much in it now that since this has happened that I'm struggling with myself, if I'm honest, at the moment. And I would like to see it change. And it still gets, you know, I keep going on back to EastEnders, but it's a program I watch, and it does focus on reality, real topics. And that has been a topic for quite a few months now about racism. It's been a topic, and it's heartbreaking. It's awful to watch because I know it happens.
And for me, going forward is being more active. You know,
Yeah.
I've been very passive at times because not all the time I want to take on a fight. You know, there was many years back when I was living in Plymouth, in Devon. I was looking after a little cousin, and I was going to pick her up from after school club, and I hopped on the bus. It was about 2, 3 stops until I needed to get to her, but they were long stops. You know, like when it's drizzling with rain, it's a bit too long to walk, but a bit short for the bus sometimes. And I thought, you know what, it's drizzling. I'm in a hurry. Let me just hop on the bus. I hopped on the bus and I had earphones in my ears, and you know, the bus wasn't moving, and then I heard something, and when I removed it, I had the driver go, I told you, sit down. And I said, sorry, I beg your pardon. I already told you, sit down. And I said, no, I'm not sitting down. I had my phones on. I'm not quite sure what's happening. Well, it's the law. You have to sit down. You can't go on the bus on standing. And I said, you know, it kind of really rattled me the wrong way, because I said that I'm sure there's no such law that is broken every rush hour. So I'm not going to sit down. Well, if you don't sit down, the bus is not moving. And I said, well, the bus is not moving. And the bus wasn't moving. Eventually, some people started talking to me, and they were like, oh, you know, please sit down. We all have places to go. And I was like, Dalilah, I was this close to sitting down. We all have places to go. You know, he didn't mean that tone, da, da, da. But you know, he's right. It is the law. And then I was like, no, I'm not sitting down, because you know, he shouldn't have spoken to me that way anyway. I said, you don't know if I have a back problem, a bottom problem, that I don't want to sit down. You don't know what my life is. I shouldn't be dictated to sit down, you know, with the tone that he used. And then I had an older couple, where the wife turned and said, well, my husband has heart problems, and if something happens to him, it's your fault. Everyone on the bus was starting to have a go at me. At no point someone went to the bus driver to say, you know, the way you spoke to her wasn't acceptable. You know, even if you wanted her to sit down, that was no way of addressing someone,
Yeah.
because you wouldn't have done that to someone else. You know, there
No.
was no point that happened. Um, and he then turned to me and he goes, I'm going to call the police. And I'm thinking, you thinking I'm here illegally? We staying. I said, call the police. It was a Friday afternoon, so the police probably had better things to do.
I'm
I
sure.
then you had to call my ex-husband and said, you know, at the time he was my husband, and I said, you better go and pick up my little cousin, because I don't think I'm going to get to her in time. I'm standing on the bus. and he asked me what happened and everything, and he said, you know what, there's been quite a lot of instances of racism with him as well while he was in that city as well. So he understood, and he said, okay, um, I understand what you're doing. After a while, he goes, okay, I'm coming to pick you up. That way you save face, because it's not like it's your fault and you kind of giving up kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he came to pick me up, and they started picking on him. He then got a bit frustrated, but then we just, eventually we just left. Do you
Oh,
believe I left the bus
goodness.
and everyone on the bus clapped? Not one person felt, do you know
Oh,
what, this is wrong. Not one person felt that that was wrong. That's how ingrained it was. You know, it's very easy for them to see that, oh, I'm the one who doesn't want to comply because I didn't want to sit down, but no one was taking note of the fact that he spoke to me as if he was my master and I was his slave, you
mm,
know.
yeah,
Um, so, but this is it. I took a stand there, but it's not every day that I want to take a stand. It's not every day that I want to fight that battle when someone tells the joke that starts with, I'm not racist, but da 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 da. And sometimes I realize now that actually, if we are going to make things better, we can't let one go. We have to be anti-racist. We have to call it out. We have to be the person on the bus that will say, you have no right speaking to her that way. How dare you?
hmm,
And if you call the police, you call the police, but I'm going to accuse you of discrimination. And do you know what I mean? It's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
that we have to take a stand. We have to, and in a way it was verbal assault actually on the bus,
yeah, yeah.
um but there was
That's
no one
awful.
to take that stand. And I think now is the time. I think we can't just be saying, people can't just say, I'm not racist.
Mm,
People have to be taking a stand. Um, I'm conscious that we are on a platform, and this is why we're talking about it, because we are in business, we are entrepreneurs, we want to put messages out. So we have a responsibility to educate people and to say to people what should and shouldn't happen, what we will and what we won't tolerate.
mm,
And one thing that I will say is, I respect anyone's race, anyone's creed, anyone's choices, political, sexual, whatever it is. I respect everyone. So I expect that in this group of mompreneurs, we have the same respect. And
yeah,
if a person feels that I'm being too linear because I'm saying I'm against all lives matter, not because I don't value all lives, I value all lives, but this is the moment of taking a stand for Black people because of what's been happening. If they feel that this is not a group for them, I will invite them to leave. um, and that's it. This is my stand. I also have to thank some ladies that I've followed posts from, Cheryl, Dawn, Marcia, um, even other ladies that may not be Black, but have taken the beacon of, you know what, we have to be anti-racist, like
yeah,
Lindsay, and say, no, they are doing an amazing job at being representatives and putting across. And I have to thank you so much, Dalilah, because this is not your standard meet with, and you just landed in the middle of it all, and you have
that's me all over.
it is.
Planned. There's always that's me. I'm used to it. It's good. At the end of the day, it's something that needs to be spoken about. It is, but especially now. I think we all know it happens, but this time it was caught on camera. There was nothing they could do.
Yes, and I think the movement about the Blackout Tuesdays, to take that
Mm,
time and get educated about what is actually happening. is an amazing opportunity because, you know, I have friends who may be black like myself and don't know sometimes the extent of how things are happening in particular places, which is normal because until we are faced with things and until we, you know, come across that information, we won't know. So I think the way forward is educate, be anti-racism. I'm also checking the messages that we're seeing on here. We have Abby saying that it's an interesting and very complex subject to discuss. We have Dawn going, such an important topic. Aqua is congratulating us on, you know, on what we've been talking about. And yes, I'm going to thank you so much, Dalilah. And this is the Meet With series, but at some point I want to do a mastermind, and I'm getting things organized in my mind, but there's so much on the plate at the moment that I'm just trying to kind of like, okay, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that and everything, and I'm getting everything done. But it's something that I want you to keep in mind in the pipeline because I want you to come back
Yeah,
and talk
definitely.
more about your business and
Hmm.
talk about more about the MLMs. So I don't do MLM personally, but um, I'm a marketer as well. So I totally understand the technicalities of it. And
Yeah.
going back onto that, um, marketing, people don't realize is a tool. And
Yes.
as a tool in the hands of someone good, it will you will see something good, but in the
Mm.
hands of someone not good and not scrupulous, you will see something that won't be good. And I guess
Yeah.
people have been seeing something that hasn't been good for a while. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing more of what you're doing because, you know, I see snippets here and there, and I find it really interesting. And I tried some of the products myself, and I enjoyed it. Um, so because you were really really thoughtful, and during the whole COVID situation, you were
Yeah.
sending hand creams to healthcare
Yeah.
professionals for free, bless you.
Yeah.
So I got to try it and it was really, really good. So you
Thank you.
have a heart of gold. You are the kind of entrepreneur that I would say, you know what, I'm really proud to know you and to see what you're doing. And you are an inspiration to other people who are starting. So,
Oh, thank
Delilah,
you so
I'm
much.
gonna send you backstage, and then I'll after I say goodbye, I will join you backstage. All right? I'm
Okay.
just
Thank you
gonna
very much.
say your goodbyes to everyone,
Thank
and I'll
you.
send you
Thank you very
backstage.
much indeed for having me.
So everyone, this has been a meet with Dalilah. She's been amazing because we spoke not just about the MLMs and the bad press they've been having recently, but we also had to address the big elephant in the room. We are marketers, we are entrepreneurs, we are women, we are mums, we are wives. And we need to find a way to move forward with what's been happening with the riots and the racism and the institutionalized racism that doesn't just happen in the US. So thank you so much for being here. I'm just going to check if there are any last comments. Yes, I have Dawn saying that it was a fantastic live stream, and I can't thank you enough for everyone that is watching and for everyone that will be watching this once this is recorded back on the group. So next week we have the amazing Patience, and we will be talking to her in the Meet With. So it will be at the same time, same place. Make sure you come, bring some friends, people who you know are starting businesses or thinking of starting businesses, because this is a great opportunity to see what the amazing women in our network are doing and how they are going about it, and giving ideas to someone who may need it. So that's it for me for today. Bye. So I'm removing the live stream.